Hi everyone, welcome to coolvegancafe.com. My name is Irene. Today we're making one of my favorites from childhood. It's called Fesenjoon. It's going to be vegan, no oil, low salt, no processed food, and it's a bittersweet type of taste. I personally don't like my food to be sweet. I don't like sweet sauces, but this has just the right combination of both sweetness and tartness that I think you'll love it, even if you're not too much into the sweet foods. So we're going to start with 1 3/4 cup walnuts, raw, organic, fresh walnuts, as good of walnut quality as you can find in your area. 1/4 cup of raw organic almonds. 1 teaspoon Himalayan pink salt. You can use any type of salt you want. 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, buy the best cinnamon that you have access to, organic if you can. And 1/4 teaspoon of saffron. You can find saffron almost anywhere nowadays. It is super expensive, so it is optional. You don't have to have it. It does give you that touch of flavor. And we have 1 tablespoon of hot water, and normally you will dissolve the saffron with the 1 tablespoon hot water and then pour it into your dish. We have 1 medium organic butternut squash and 1 jar, 32 ounce of pomegranate juice, organic pomegranate juice, not from concentrate. If you only can find the one from concentrate, that's fine. And try your best for it to be organic, but get whatever you have access to. And then we have 1/2 cup of dried prunes and 1 medium onion. You don't want a super large onion. Normally I'm really flexible on the sizes, but on this one you want like a small to medium size onion, and we're going to serve it all on quinoa. I find the taste is very strong and flavorful, and the blandness of quinoa really just is the right combination. I'm going to start out with the butternut squash. We're going to chop the sides. And then we're going to peel. Now we're going to cut the butternut squash into cubes, the small cubes. So I feel like that's enough on our squash. And I'm just going to cut our onion into 4 pieces. I think I've shared with you before that my daughter doesn't like onions very much. Doesn't like to, as long as she doesn't see them, she's fine with it. So we're going to process the onions. So now we're going to start processing the nuts. You want to put the raw nuts inside your food processor. It's normally made with all walnuts, but I like to add a few almonds, kind of a trick from my mom. And then we're going to process this until fine a powder. Now we're going to put in the onion. and make that super fine. And now we're going to add the liquid, which is the pomegranate juice. We're going to put in this yummy goodness, along with the approximately 2.5 cups of the butternut squash. So now what we're going to do is let's go ahead and put the prunes in. I'm not a big fan of prunes in cooking, but I really love it in this recipe. I wouldn't skip it because you don't like prunes. I would just try it out as is, and then you can always make modifications. And then we're going to take the saffron, our super expensive saffron, and you're going to put the hot water on it and dissolve it a little bit. And then let's put it aside. I like to add the saffron as it gets a little bit closer to the end time, so it's not boiling and simmering too long. But we can add the salt, the 1 teaspoon salt, and the 1/2 teaspoon cinnamon. And then now we're going to put it on some medium-high heat to bring it to a boil, and then we're going to lower it. So the main thing is you want to watch to make sure you never go low in water. We're going to go ahead and put it on high and just to bring it to a boil. And as we wait for that to come to a boil, we're going to take our 1 cup of quinoa and 2 cups of water. If you can use a filtered water, we have access to a spring water that I really like, and 1/4 teaspoon of Himalayan salt. You can skip the salt if you'd like. We have kids, so I find by skipping the salt, they're less apt to eat it. So I just reduce the salt. Now we've got the salt in. We're going to go ahead and turn on the heat. Bring it to a boil. And then quinoa is really easy to make and takes a lot less time than rice. So this dish is traditionally served with white rice, white basmati rice. We're going to substitute it for quinoa. You bring it to a boil and reduce to a simmer. So it's 10 minutes before the food is ready, and we're going to add the saffron water in. And you want to make sure you get every last bit in there and stir it up really well. Okay, it's been 40 minutes. If you have too much liquid, stir it up to kind of get a feel. Hopefully you've stirred it before this, just to make sure nothing is sticking. If it's low water, you want a little bit hot water at a time, like go in 1/4 cup increments. If this one, we didn't add anything to it, this is the consistency you want. It should be thicker than a soup or stew. And you can, if it's a little too extra liquidy, you can just leave it to cook with the lid open for about 10 more minutes. Here's our final product. I love serving this with a beautiful big salad and watermelon juice. I make watermelon juice by just putting it in the blender and blending it on high with some ice cubes. It's very refreshing and it goes really well with this meal. So let's try it out. Oh my gosh, this smells so decadent. And I know if you're not used to the brown color or quinoa, if you're new to quinoa, I personally don't like quinoa very much, but with this meal, it's just a perfect fit. So, and very nutritious and rich. Get a little bit of a butternut squash in there. Oh my God. Hard to believe that this has zero oil, low salt, and is so incredibly delicious. A little bit sour from the pomegranate juice, and you can just feel everything coming together, and quinoa is the perfect grain for it. But again, you can experiment with different ones. I hope you and your family enjoy this Fesenjoon, and if you like this recipe, please subscribe to our channel and like our videos, and we look forward to seeing you next time.